the Polish winged hussars, the most powerful warriors in the world. This isn't an overstatement, but a historical fact, proven on countless battlefields. For nearly 2 centuries, they were the elite heavy cavalry of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, a force that turned the tide of battles and decided the fate of nations. They were the pride of the Commonwealth, a living symbol of its power and courage, a sign of an unbreakable spirit. When the winged hussars appeared on the horizon, when their cuirasses gleamed and their wings rose, everyone knew the moment of decision had arrived. The very name, winged hussars, brings to mind the thunder of charges, shattered ranks, and glorious victories. The Polish winged hussars were the elite heavy cavalry of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. They fought mainly from the 16th to the end of the 17th century, though their beginnings were earlier. They were the pride of the Commonwealth and the embodiment of knightly ideals. They were recruited almost exclusively from the wealthiest nobility, fighting not only for the king, but also for their own lands, families, and way of life. From light, Balkan-style cavalry to heavy shock troops, a transformation accelerated under Stefan Batory. Equipped with plate armor and a longer, more powerful lance that broke enemy lines. Though few in number, their impact was immense. A few thousand could achieve what tens of thousands of infantry could not. Their task was one crushing blow, requiring years of training, discipline, and skill. So, why were the winged hussars so powerful? The key was a perfect mix of their gear, their horses, and how they charged. Their lances were 5 to 6 meters long, letting them hit a pikeman before he could even reach the horse. They were hollowed out from the middle to the tip, making them light but strong enough to be used with one hand. The horses were specially bred, strong, fast, and able to last. They were so valuable that taking them out of the country could get you the death penalty. The charge started with the riders spread out to keep them safe from enemy fire. Just before they hit, they'd close ranks, knee to knee, putting all their power into one spot. The impact was like a battering ram. The weapon, rider, and horse all became one. The most famous part of the winged hussars was their wings. These were wooden frames with feathers from birds of prey. Feathers from eagles, vultures, and hawks made them look grand and scary. One idea is that the wings protected them from lassos, catching the rope on the frame. Another idea is that they made it harder to attack from behind. But the most important thing was how they made people feel. It was a sight that broke the enemy's spirit. The wings made them look bigger, like angels of revenge on the battlefield. The rustling and whistling of the feathers could scare enemy horses, making things even more chaotic. It was also a big sign of their high standing, connecting them to the royal eagle and knightly traditions. The wings weren't just for show, they created a legend. Section 5, Fields of Glory, the winged hussars' most famous triumphs. Kirchholm, 1605. About 3,500 Poles and Lithuanians crushed 11,000 Swedes in 20 minutes. Jan Karol Chodkiewicz was in command. Kłushin, 1610. About 2,700 hussars defeated a 30,000-strong Russian-Swedish army. The banners charged up to 10 times. Vienna, 1683. The largest cavalry charge in history. About 20,000 riders, with 3,000 hussars, led by King Jan III Sobieski. Chocim, 1621 and 1673. Extraordinary resilience and effectiveness against the Turkish might. Hodów, 1694. The Polish Thermopylae. 400 hussars and cuirassiers repelled about 40,000 Tatars. From Kirchholm to Hodów, not just statistics, but testaments to courage, skill, and an unyielding spirit. The hussar's effectiveness came from his complete, specialized gear, a blend of Eastern and Western styles. After his lance broke, he wasn't defenseless. He would reach for his konchurs, a long, stiff thrusting sword with a triangular or square cross-section. In close combat, the sabler reigned supreme, perfectly balanced for quick cutting blows from the saddle. Plus wheel-lock pistols in holsters, a final volley before the clash. The armor, cuirass, shoulder plates, gauntlets, protection without too much restriction of movement. The open helmet with nasal, an open helmet with a nasal bar and neck guard gave good visibility and ventilation. All of it weighed about 15-25 kilograms, manageable for a trained warrior on a mighty horse. Weapons for every stage: the lance's impact, the piercing contours, cutting with the sabler, and pistol fire. Their tactics were simple in concept, brilliant in execution. They started with gaps of about 3 meters, reducing the impact of artillery and musket fire. In the final 100 meters, they would swiftly close ranks on command. Riding knee to knee, that was their wall of steel. Mass and speed were concentrated on a narrow front, like a gigantic battering ram. They could charge repeatedly. At Cushion, banners attacked as many as 10-12 times. If the line didn't break, they'd regroup, prepare fresh lances, and attack again. The banner's structure, the Tawasis and his retainers, provided resilience against losses. Discipline, logistics, and bravery, an unbeatable combination. Serving in the winged hussars was a privilege reserved for the wealthiest gentry. The costs were astronomical. State pay was often delayed or not paid at all. The companion, or Tawasis, funded tailored armor, weapons, and equipment for his retainers. The horses were the most expensive. One could cost as much as an entire village. A hussar needed several horses, which multiplied the costs. Rich decorations and the highest quality weaponry drove up expenses. The ethos: amor patriae nostra lex. Love of the fatherland is our law. Not a mercenary, but a patriot, a defender of the Commonwealth and the faith. Investment, ideology, and discipline created a warrior whose inner drive was their secret weapon. What remains of the winged hussars today? A powerful, enduring legend remains. Brave men, magnificent horses, iconic wings, charging to victory. Their triumphs inspired tales of courage and national pride. Art and literature elevated the winged knight to the status of a cultural pillar. He was the gentry's ideal warrior and a source of family identity. Today, the legacy lives on in reconstructions, museums, and studies of tactics. Their victories became synonymous with determination, organization, and motivation. The winged hussar is not just a figure from the past. He is an eternal symbol of Polish strength, honor, and the will to defend the homeland. So, to sum it all up, the winged hussars were a really strong force because of a few simple things that they put together in a super clever way. They used a long, light lance. They rode special horses that were bred to be fast, strong, and able to keep going for a long time. They perfected the charge, an attack that hit like a battering ram. They used the scary, impressive power of their grand wings. They had lots of experience, great discipline, and courage that came from their knightly way of life. They won battles that seemed impossible, changing how history turned out. It wasn't magic. It was a perfect system. Man, horse, weapon, and tactics all working together. Their time was the golden age of Polish military power. Amor patriae nostra lex. Their legacy is one of heroic defense and spectacular victories for their homeland. They were, and remain, the most powerful warriors the world has ever seen. May their story remind us what can be achieved through dedication, innovation, and an unbreakable spirit. Their deeds are forever etched in the pages of history, a source of pride and inspiration. The Polish winged hussars are a legend whose echo resonates to this day. The end.